and Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Hello everyone, I am here with you all with Standard 12 Sociology subject. In 12 Sociology, we have got two textbooks. First one is Indian Society and the second one is Social Change and Development in India. I am going to start with the first textbook, that is Indian Society. Now, this entire textbook introduces the basic structure of Indian society. There are altogether 7 chapters, and I am going to take you to the first 2 chapters. Now, the first topic is introducing Indian society. Of course, yes, this is introductory topic in which we have brief outline and the highlights of all 7 chapters which are there in this textbook, which we are going to study in detail when we are going to take these chapters one by one. Apart from this, there are some focusing areas which indicates in advance larger social processes at work shaping Indian society. Broadly speaking, Indian consciousness took shape during British colonialism. British system of governance was established in India in the year 1858 and came to an end in the year 1947. All over India, the people were subject to the British administration. There was British Raj and British colonial rule. Now, this British colonial rule unified all of India for the first time and brought in the forces of modernization and capitalist economic change. The changes which were brought were irreversible. Society could never revise it. The economic, political and administrative unification of India under colonial rule was achieved at a great expense. There was struggle and there was sacrifices. Colonialism also gave birth to its own enemy, so-called nationalism. We had witnessed the colonial domination, their exploitation, and this domination, this exploitation scared Indian society in different ways, and because of this, all over India people got united and there was nationalization. Historically, nationalization took its shape during colonial period. Portuguese ruled Goa, Daman and Diu for 450 years. They did not allow Britishers to enter in their areas, but rest of India was ruled by Britishers. They were dominating India at all levels, and this domination unified and energized the different sections of communities, and the middle class began. They took a very good advantage of Western style of education and started opposing and challenging colonialism. This Western style of education also give them support, the power and strength to rediscover the tradition, and it led to the development of culture at national and religious level. Colonialism also created several classes and communities. The urban middle class were the main carriers of nationalism. They led the campaign of freedom to free India from the British rule. Now, these are the important areas in this topic. There also, not only that, there is also the colonial intervention, who crystallized in this colonial intervention also crystallized the several religious and caste-based communities. They too were the major players. This is what we have a brief introduction in this first introductory topic. And here we need to concentrate, as far as examination point of view, we need to concentrate specifically on MCQs, that is multiple choice question. I must mention here these areas which are very focusing areas. Under which period the Indian consciousness did take shape? Colonial period is the right answer. To which enemy did the colonialism give rise? It is nationalism. Who were the main carriers of nationalism that led campaign for freedom? They are the urban middle classes. And finally, we have which rule unified all the Indians for the first time and brought in forces of modernization and capitalist economic change, and that rule was colonial rule. So these are the very important areas we need to focus in this introductory topic, introducing Indian society. Now let me take you to the next topic. We have demographic structure of Indian society. Now under this topic, let us study what is demography, the meaning of demography. Demography is a systematic study on population. The term is of Greek origin, divided or composed into two words, demos, which means people, and graphin, which means description. And when we combine these both words, the meaning what we are getting is a description of people. Demography is a systematic collection of data on people residing within the territory. This demography suggests the process related to the population, which includes rise of population, growth of population, birth, death, change in population, and migration. Demographic data plays very important role. There are different varieties of demography. Formal demography, which is a quantitative field, and social demography, which focus its attention on social, economic, and political aspect of population. This demographic data is very important in planning and implementing the state policies like economic development and welfare of general public. American census of 1790 was the most modern census. After that, this practice was taken up in the Europe. They started doing the census. And in our India, British, they conducted the census, and it was a regular 10-year activities. Even after independence, this practice is continued by Indians. And very important here to note, Indian population census exercise was one of the largest population census in the world. Now let us move towards the other important areas in this topic, that is theories and concepts in demography. Let us start with the different theories or the concept we have in this chapter. Now, the first theory is Malthusian theory of demographic transition. Now, let us see who was he. Thomas Robert Malthus. He was English political economist. He was born in 1766 at United Kingdom. He was appointed as a professor of history and political economy in the college, in the East India Company College at London. He studied at Cambridge and was trained to become the Christian priest. His famous contribution in the society was Malthusian growth model, and he became famous because of his own theory on population growth. Now let us go ahead with his theory, Malthusian theory of population growth. Now the Malthusian theory of population growth was one of the most famous theory on demography, advocated by English economist Thomas Robert Malthus. And he has outlined this theory in an English essay on population. Now, under this theory, he argued that human population tend to grow at much faster rate than the rate at which the human subsistences like food, clothing and other agricultural production can grow. And because of this, humanity condemned to live in poverty forever, because agricultural production is always overtaken by the population growth, and therefore all the people, they live in poverty. This is what he argued on his theory. What he says is, because population increases and always overtaking the agricultural production, and that is why forever we are in poverty. He tries to explain it further. He says, he has given very good illustration. He says, the population increases at geometric progression, that is 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, etc. Whereas the agricultural production increases at arithmetic progression, that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, etc. And because of this, the difference which we can see over here, the population is always overtaking, always at a fast speed, and it overtakes the agricultural production, and that is why human beings always live in poverty. That is what he says. Now, in order to have some sort of control on this growth of population, he has suggested 2 checks. First check is preventive check, and another one, second check he has suggested, is positive check. Now, preventive checks, this type of checks are the effort made by human beings. For example, postponing of marriages and celibacy. And of course, yes, these checks are painful, but it plays very important role in reducing the growth rate of population. The second check, what he had suggested, is positive check. Now, these positive checks are those checks which are implemented by nature. These checks are seen in the form of famines, earthquakes, floods and tsunamis, etc. So these are the 2 checks Thomas Robert Malthus suggested in order to have some sort of control on the growth rate of population. Malthus theory was influenced for a long period. But later on, scholars, liberal scholars and other theorists started challenging the Malthus argument. They criticized him. They criticized him saying, population is not necessarily limited to the human subsistences like food, clothing, shelter, etc. Secondly, they said, population increases, but the means of human subsistence does not increase at all. He was also criticized by saying that both food production and standard of living increases despite of population growth or despite of rapid population growth. What Malthus says is, we are poor because only the agricultural production is always overtaken by the population. But here the liberal and the scholars criticize him, saying that along with population, along with the growth of population, the standard of living and the food production also increases. And finally, the scholars also criticize him, asserting poverty is caused only with the growth of population. What Malthus said. But there are other reasons also to the poverty. So this is what the theory Malthus gave. For a long period, this theory was accepted, and finally he was challenged by the theorists or the liberal theories. Now next, in this topic, we have got other theory, the theory of demographic transition. Now in this theory, the theory of demographic transition suggests that population growth is linked to overall level of economic development, and every society follows typical pattern of development related to population growth. Here there are three different phases of population growth. Stage 1, underdeveloped society. Stage 2, developing society. And stage 3, developed society. Now further, with the help of this graph, we can understand the theory of demographic transition in better way. On the x-axis, we have got stages of demographic transition. You can see over here, stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. There are the different stages of demographic transition which are shown on the x-axis, and on the y-axis of this graph, we can see here birth rate and death rates. And you can see here the arrow which is marked, the lower portion which shows you the death rate, and the upper portion which the arrow shows you the birth rate, and down below portion which shows you the death rate. Now let us see these three phases of demographic transition. Now the first stage is underdeveloped society. Society is backward. People are illiterate, technologically backward society. And here people are not aware of the advantages of having small family. And what happened in this stage? Here the birth rates are very high and death rates are also very high, and that is why in this underdeveloped society, the society which is backward, here the growth rate of population is low. The first stage, which is a underdeveloped society, society is technologically backward. Here birth rates are high, death rates are also high, and that is why growth rate of population is very low. Now let us go towards the next stage. Here this is underdeveloping society. Now here you can see the birth rates are very high and death rates are low. Now in this society, here we have the movement from backward society towards the advanced society. And this society characterizes with the high growth rate of population, because here we have got high birth rates and death rates are under control. In the first stage, we have seen absolutely there is no control on the births and no control on the deaths. But here in second stage, where society is developing society, where here we can see there is a control on death but no control on the birth rate, and that is why in this second stage of demographic transition, the population explosion takes place and the growth rate of population is very high in this second stage of demographic transition. Now let us move towards the third stage. Now the third stage of this demographic transition, the society is developed. The society is technologically advanced. People are educated. They know what is good and what is bad for them. They know the advantages of having small family. And in this society, you can see the shaded portion over this graph. This shows the low birth rate and also we have got low death rate. And because of this, in this third stage of demographic transition, we have low growth rate of population. The first stage we have got low growth rate of population, second stage we have got high growth rate of population, and third stage again we have got low growth rate of population, because the population and the increase of birth rate is under control and deaths are also under control, because they have got all the facilities to take care of their population. People are illiterate, people are educated. They are not illiterate, they are educated. So this is what the theory of demographic transition suggests. Very important theory of demographic transition. Now let us move towards the next subtopic under this chapter, factor responsible for decline of death rates in India, or factor responsible for decline of sex ratio in India. This is the topic. We will start with this topic now. Now the sex ratio is important indicator of gender in population. There are so many reasons why sex ratio is declining in India. The first reason we can cite over here is maternal mortality. Now what is this maternal mortality? This is the reason why there is a fall of sex ratio, because there is an increased risk of women who die in the childbirth. Earlier, children used to born in the houses. There was no education, no medical facilities, no communication facilities, and this maternal mortality was increasing. There is a decline of this maternal mortality because there is improved level of development in nutrition, medical advancement we have, transport and communication facilities, and general education also plays very important role to decline this maternal mortality. Second reason we can cite over here is female infanticide. Now the female infanticide is killing of girl child because of religious or cultural reasons. And because of this, the number of female child is coming down. But today, importance is being attached to the modern techniques. The sex of the baby is determined at a very early stage of pregnancy, and this helps to identify and select the baby boy or baby girl. So this is the another reason why we have decline of sex ratio in India. Thirdly, we have neglect of girl baby. This is also one of the important reasons why sex ratio is coming down. Neglect of girl child in infancy also leads the sex ratio to come down. The practice of dowry system where parents has to pay large amount of dowry payment to marry their daughters. But the poor family, they were not able to afford it and they used to neglect the girl child. There was a death or there was a killing of girl child. But today we can see the prosperous family, the child ratio is declining in these prosperous family who have got all facilities. But these families today we are witnessing they have got this decline of sex ratio. Now the next factor we have under decline of child sex ratio in India is abortion. Sex specific abortion also prevents the child from being born. So this is also plays very good or very important role in the decline of sex ratio in India. Next we have sonogram. Now sonogram is diagnostic technique or diagnostic device used to identify genetic disorder or any other disorders. Now if you identify any genetic disorder, then subsequently selectively they used to abort the fetus or the fetus. So this is the another reason why we have got decline of sex ratio in India. Next we have health factor which plays very important role in declining sex ratio in India. During pregnancy, if the lady is suffering with any health issues or he is suffering with any diseases, then ultimately it affects to her subsequent pregnancy, which leads to the decline of sex ratio in India. So this is what the reason behind why there is a decline of sex ratio in India. We'll just move ahead with this topic, and what we have is population policy in India. Now population dynamics is very important. It crucially affects the developmental prospect of nation as well as the health and well-being of the people. Developing countries especially get affected with these regards. Our own country, India, they have official population policies. In fact, India was the first country in the world to announce these population policies in the year 1952. Now let us have a light over these policies. The first, we have achieve 100% registration of birth, death, marriages and pregnancy. So it is mandatory on all of us. We need to register our birth, death, marriage and pregnancy. Secondly, we have make a school education free and compulsory and reduce dropout at primary and secondary level. We also have reduce infant mortality rate, the death of the child within 1 year period. So that reduces infant mortality rate. promote delay marriages for girls so that we can have some sort of control on the growth rate of population. Next, we have prevent and control communicable diseases. There are so many diseases, so we need to prevent those diseases. Number of poor and powerless people, they were forcibly sterilized. Earlier, people used to give birth to the large number of children and they were unable to take care of them. But these people were forced to sterilize, go for sterilization process. National Family Planning Program was also renamed and it is now National Family Welfare Program. A new set of guidelines were formulated as a part of population policies in the year 2000, which are target to achieve it in the up to 2010. So main objective of this population policy to have some sort of control or to slow down the growth rate of population through different method, birth control method, creating awareness among the public related to health issues and population. So this is what about the population policy in India. Next we have very simple topic, rural and urban differences. Rural areas are the village areas and the urban areas are the city areas. Now the first difference we have in this topic, rural areas are less developed and urban areas are more developed. Urban areas, we have all facilities, good transportation, good communication, we have got industries and restaurants, parks, everything. Trade, business is going at a faster rate, good market facilities, everything. So like this, urban areas are more developed. All resources are made available in urban areas, whereas rural areas, they are less developed. Sometimes we are witnessing the villages, they don't have proper roads, they don't have proper electricity supply, water supply, they are struggling there. So they are less developed. Second difference we can see, rural areas, literacy rate is very low, whereas in urban areas, literacy rate is very high. All educational institutions, professional colleges, schools, they are all made available in the urban area and people are taking very good advantage of all these educational institutions. They are sending their children in the schools and colleges. They are more literate. On the other hand, if we see the rural areas, the people, they are less literate. Sometimes the poor people, they cannot afford to send their children in the school, maybe because they are suffering with the financial problems. So the literacy remains very less in the rural areas. Next difference we can see over here is there is a high growth of population in rural areas and less growth of population, or we have a less population in the urban areas. India is a land of village. We have got maximum population, 80% of people are living in the village area, and that is why rural areas we have got high population, more population, whereas in urban areas only 20% people in India, they resides in urban area and we have low population in the urban areas. As far as occupation of these areas are concerned, urban areas, the main occupation is trade, business. They involved in different types of trades to earn their livelihood. Whereas in rural area, if we see, agriculture is their main occupation. They earn their livelihood with the help of agriculture. And final difference we can see over here is the interaction with stranger is very less in rural areas, and the interaction with stranger is high in urban areas. The tourists who comes to visit, they first get interacted with the urban area people, and they have got very less interaction with the rural area people. These are the differences between urban areas and rural areas we have in this topic. Let us move towards the next subtopic. What we have is literacy. Now, literacy is instrument of empowerment which gives us power. Greater literate the population, more career option we have. Literacy leads to the health awareness and fuller participation in cultural and economic well-being of the community. After independence, the literacy level has been improved a lot. 2/3 of India's population is now literate. Now, this literacy varies across gender, across regions, and across social groups. Now, let us go through first one, that is across gender. Now, literacy rate of female all over India, across India, is low comparative to the male. The literacy of female is less compared to male literacy, that we can see with the help of this table. Now, this table shows the literacy rate of India. Right from the beginning, immediately after independence in the year 1951, we can see here the total number of person in percentage we have got 18.3%. In this, male literacy is 27.2%, and female literacy what we have over here is 8.9%. And see the gap, the difference between male literacy and female literacy, it is 18.3%. This shows we have got more literacy with male than less literacy with the females. Again, if we see 10 years later, 1961, here total number of person in percentage we have 28.3, in which we have got male literacy is 40.4%, and female literacy we can see over here is 15.4, just 15.4, and see the gap is increasing. 25.1% differences we have got in the year 1961. So, comparatively, male literacy is more and we have got female literacy. So, as far as gender is concerned, throughout the country, across the country, the female literacy is low than the male. Even we have got the latest updates, 1991. In this year, we can see the total number of person in percentage we have got 52.5%, in which we have got male literacy, that is 64.1%, and we have got female literacy which is 39.3%. And see the gap now, it is very good sign for all of us. See the gap is reducing. The gap, the difference between male and female literacy in India, the gap is reducing 24.8%. Earlier it was, see how it was in big gap, 25%, or we have got 24%, 26.6%, but now it is reducing. That means females are having more literacy, but all throughout this year, if we see, always male literacy is more. Even in the 2001, we can see over here the total percentage of person is 65.4, in which we have got 75.9% of people, males are literate, and we have got 54.2% of female literacy, which is low, and the gap is now still reducing. This is a good sign. The gap is 21.7. See, in the year 1971, the gap 24%. Now it has reduced to 21.7. That means a very good sign for females. They are getting literate. So this is as far as gender, literacy variation as far as gender is concerned. Next we have across region wise. Literacy variation across region wise. Now region wise also there is a wide range of difference, and the state of Kerala approaching the highest literacy rate. The state of Kerala over here, they are topping, and their literacy rate is 94% literacy they have. And compared to this Bihar state, we have got lowest literacy rate, that is just 61%. So Kerala is topping with 94%, and there is a wide difference with the state of Bihar, which has got 61% of literacy. Other state, if we see the state of Goa, we have got 88% literacy. Rajasthan, if we see, we have got 65% of literacy rate. And even the Arunachal Pradesh over here, we can see that they have just 65% of literacy. So this shows a very wide range of difference as far as literacy is concerned. Now thirdly, we have literacy differences across the social group. And of course, yes, the general category people, they have got highest rate of literacy, and the other social groups like scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, they have lower literacy rate. So this is the variation of literacy across region, across gender, and across social groups that prevails in the Indian society. Let us move ahead with the topic, reasons behind decline of death rate in India since 1921. So these are the reasons we have why there is a decline of death rate in India since 1921. The first reason we can cite, increased level of control over famines and epidemic diseases. The famines which take place because of crop failure or malnutrition, starvation or unbalanced population, these all are brought under control. Similarly, the several diseases, epidemic diseases, the fevers of different sort like cholera, plague, okay, all these diseases are brought under control, and ultimately it gives the decline in death rate in India since 1921. Second reason we can cite over here is an advancement in the field of medical science. Advanced treatment is made available to cure the disease. Mass vaccination program gets organized. People are made aware of all the diseases. The next reason we can cite over here is improved sanitation. Proper provision of drinking water is made available. There is adequate disposal of sewerage. Also, the surface cleaning, which keeps away the several diseases, and this also leads to the decline of death rates in India. We also have another reason, health consciousness among the people. Today, people are very much conscious about their health. They are very much serious about their health. Anything happens, they just rush to the doctor for treatment and better advice. So health consciousness is also one of the reasons for decline of death rates in India since 1921. So these are the reasons why we have death rate decline in India since 1921. Now next, we'll move towards the next topic, that is the age structure of Indian population. Now Indian population tend to be very young and majority of Indians are considered to be young. Now age structure of Indian population, it is the proportion of person in different age groups. Now with the help of this table, we can get a better idea of the age structure or age composition of population of India. The first group we have up to 14 years of age. The second group from 15 years to 59 years, and 60 years group, that is the senior citizens. Now year wise, if we see over here, we have in the year 1961, first up to 14 years of age, we have got 41% of population in this first category, that is up to 14 years of age. And up to 15 to 59, in this particular age group, we have got 53% of people and just 6% of people in the 60 plus age group. So this is what the age composition we have in the year 1961. Further, if we see 1971, here 42%, there is no much more change. 42% of population falls under this particular age group, that is up to 14 years, and 53 year it remains the same. Again 53 in the year 1971, they are in 15 to 59 age group, and then last category, that is above 60 or 60 plus years, we have just 5% of people in this age group, and we can see the 1% decrease. After 10 years, there is a 1% decrease of this particular age group. If we see here down below in 1991, this we can see the total number of population is 38% in the first category, that is up to 14 years of age, and 56% in the second category up to 15 to 59, and the last category, if we see 60 plus years, here we have 7%. There is again increase we can see here in this third category, that is 60 plus years group. 2001, we have got 34 in the first category, 59% in the second category, that is 15 to 59 years of age, and 60 plus we have got 7. Again it is same, it remains same. And the latest updates from 2011, we have got 29% of population in the first age group, that is up to 14 years, and 63%, see the rise, the 63% of population we have in the 15 to 59 years age group. And if we go in the third category, we have only 8% of people which are in the 60 plus age group. So this is a difference we have as far as proportion or the age composition of Indian population is concerned. The first age group, see, 41, 42, 40, 38, 34, and in the year 2011, we can see the decrease in the first category, that is, they have come down to the 29%. Second category, throughout this year, we have almost similar 53, then in the year 1981 we have got 54, then in the year 1991 we have got 56%, and again in 2011 there is an increase. So that is what the age structure of Indian population says, that the maximum population tend to be younger. They fall in this second age group. And the third age group, throughout the years we see there is a slight 1% difference. See, first 1961 there is 6% total population in this area, then 1971 we can see here there is a slight decrease of 1%. So total population was only 5% in the year 1971, and down the line we can see the 6%, 7%, again 7% in the year 2001, and 2011 there is one increase in the 60 plus age group, that is 8% increase. So this is, we have the age structure which is composed in these three categories, three different groups up to 14 years of age, then 15 to 59 years of age, and then we have got 60 plus years age. So these are some of the areas which you need to focus in your examination. Very important topic as far your examinations are concerned. It has got very good weightage, and you need to concentrate more on this topic. Thank you very much and all the best.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.